Um, well, I want to welcome everybody to the January 2024 meeting of Portland Photographers Forum. I am Bob Bergstrom, and I will be serving as president of PPF this year. I would like to start by introducing the other officers and board members this year. Vice President is Don Kovalevsky. Secretary is Kathy Rady. Treasurer is Tim Dallas. And Mark Fitzgerald will stay on as our past president. And our other board members are Bruce Megan, who coordinates the website. Joe Whittington, who is our outings coordinator. Jim Congleton and Bruce Leonard. I would like to remind everyone that it's time to renew your membership and renew your dues for 2024. On the website, there's a Join Now button, which makes it easier to find how to do that. And I want to thank everyone who's already renewed their membership this year.
On that membership button, I'd just like to say that when you push it, it says new member. There's no option for renewal. I've discussed this with Tim. Maybe it'll be fixed. I'm going to mail my check in because I'm not a new member.
Okay, I think you can just do it anyway. But that is somebody. I think you can just do it anyway. But I think Tim and Bruce have been working to correct that.
Yes, Emma Jean Bittigan is going to change it to have new and continuing members, and but otherwise the rest of it will be the same, and it will work. That's all.
Good, thanks, Bruce. This year's photography gallery exhibit at Oregon Society of Artists, in conjunction with Portland Photographers Forum, will be in April, and the theme is going to be visual poetry. And our juror this year will be Fritz Lidke, who is also our speaker next month in February. I don't think the submissions have not opened yet, but they'll probably open at the beginning of February. Also at OSA in February, they're having an abstract art show, which is open to all different media. So photography is accepted at that. Let's see. And then Tim Dallas was going to give us an update on the Blue Sky drawers.
Yeah, actually, first I was just going to mention that as of this weekend, we've had 39 people paying membership fees for 2024. 35 are renewals, and then we've got 4 new members. So still a lot of people out there that haven't done it yet. So try to remember to do that. Let's see. As far as Blue Sky goes, we've got our drawer exhibitors booked through May, but I'm always looking for new people to sign up, and I think we put out some information not too long ago about what is all involved in that. But if you're interested in having 10 of your mounted or matted prints in the drawer for a 2-month period, just let me know, and I can get you some information out, and then as it gets closer, I give you a lot of detailed information about what needs to be done. And I've been working with the Blue Sky folks there too. I got some comments back not too long ago that they thought that our drawer was particularly good, that we make a lot of effort into refreshing the drawer regularly and getting high quality prints in there. And so I'm going to be working with them to see if we can't get a little bit more exposure, maybe having some of the prints that are in there put in a stand, or on that, they have a wall there that you can put some prints on or something like that. So I just think because they recognize, and we do put a lot of effort into getting photographs into our drawer, and I think it's one of the better drawers. I've gone through them all. Just like to try to get us a little bit more exposure and get a better sense of how many people do visit. I did ask them about that because you kind of wonder how much exposure we are getting. They do get many hundreds of people every month going into the gallery, 800 or 900 or so. And they told me that they thought about 3/4 of the people that go in there do go through some of the drawers, but don't have any more detailed information than that. But anyway, I encourage anybody that hasn't done it at all before, or would like to and hasn't done it in a long time, just let me know.
Hey, Tim, this is Giannis. And when I was doing, kind of managing those drawers, like one of the things I encouraged people to do was to put a little sheet in there for comments or whatever else. You have no idea if people ever even look at your work
Right.
in there. And they used to do a book on the top of the drawers there. And I think they don't do that any longer. And I got our work to be put in actually into the front of that book, but I'm not sure they do that book anymore.
Yeah, they have a book on the top that is for the Pacific Northwest drawers, and there is a book for the others, but they keep it at their front desk. But again, that's another thing I thought maybe I would try to bring up with them.
Talk them into putting it in the Pacific Northwest drawer book, because like they were doing that,
Okay.
a couple years ago, because I talked them into doing that, and they were willing to do it.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'm planning to meet with them and kind of discuss the whole thing. And they're also going through their strategic plan for the gallery for the next year too, currently. So
Well, thanks for doing it.
yeah, I'll try to get in there. I haven't ventured out toward the city in my car for a while, and I probably won't till the end of the week. So
Any other questions for Tim? Joe Whittington. Joe, did you want to say something about the outing in February to the car museum?
Sure. So you may not heard of it, but it's called the Brothers Car Collection, and it's kind of a secret site. It's not someplace you can just drop into, but they have a private collection of over 600 cars, and they typically have about over 300 on display at any one time. And this is probably one of the most comprehensive selections of cars you'll come across. So we're scheduled to go on Tuesday, February 2024, and it's just us. So no strange people wandering around and jumping in front of your camera. Because it's just us, we can bring tripods. They would appreciate it if we do not whack the cars with our tripods. And there is an admission fee. It's $25, which is, I think, very, very reasonable. But, if you've ever been in a car or seen a car or like cars, this is a pretty amazing place. Been there a couple of times. And there are several I would like to take home if I could afford the insurance on them. Someone was interested if they have Bugattis, and yes, they have 2 Bugattis, and you've been shopping for them, they're in the $2 to $3 million range. So it's really cool. We'll work out. So I'll put a post up on the website, and we can break out carpooling and all of that.
Great. Any questions for Joe?
Yeah, Joe, do you know what time of day that'll be?
It'll be at 11 a.m. is when we
Okay.
need to go. Yeah.
Thank
so
you.
We'll spend 2 or 3 hours there, go have lunch, and then disperse. But it's pretty cool.
Joe, where is this collection?
Salem.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And for those people that sign up, we'll actually give you the address.
That would be important. Well, thanks, Joe. I think we will move on to the monthly photo challenge. So this month's photo challenge was titled New Beginnings. And the idea was, if there is a project or series that you've been working on that you find interesting and you wanted to continue working on it for the new year, that you'd show some of those images, or if there was a location that you really enjoyed that you wanted to go back to. So let me see if I can share my screen and bring that up. Okay, can everybody see my Lightroom catalog?
Yes.
Good. Okay, so we'll hit play and there should be music with it too. Oh, shoot, what did we do? Well, thanks to everyone who participated and contributed their images. I am always delighted that we get so many entries. I think we had 99, including the nameplates. We had 99. And next month we'll do something related to winter. And I'll send it out in the newsletter, but probably like winter or what. So if you go to Hawaii for the winter, that would be great. Next we have Kathleen Wendland, who will be our 15-minute member speaker. And Kathleen, if you want to unmute yourself and if you want to do your screen share.
There we go.
Okay, great. We see you.
Okay.
And so Kathleen, I
Sorry.
will give you a 5-minute warning when we get close.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'll just begin by saying a couple of years ago, our daughter had to help me with create an artist statement. And she didn't have to, but I asked for her help. And she included in the artist statement that as a mother, I always told she and her brothers never talk to strangers, but it was a do as I say, not as I do, because I will approach any stranger unless I get a bad vibe. And
Kathleen,
ask them if
I'm sorry, we're not seeing your screen.
Oh, you're not? Oh,
Let's
I did
see.
screen share. Okay, let's see. Okay.
You know what? Do you have?
Okay.
What are you looking for? I want to get to your
Okay, there it is. Screen share.
your
And-
settings.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to.
So it says,
Oh, here, okay.
Oh.
I fixed it, so I did multiple participants. So try again. Sorry.
okay, so
I guess that was my fault, not yours. So I'll give
here
you,
we go. Okay,
I'll
got
give
it.
you a
got
couple
it.
extra
Okay.
minutes.
Okay, there we go. Okay. And so you could hear me, but not see me just then? Is that right?
We could hear you and see you, but we couldn't see your slide. So yeah, go ahead and share your.
Okay, so you got my
We got your intro, but we
You
can
got my
see
intro.
your.
Okay.
We can see
Okay.
everything now.
Okay.
So we're good
So
to go.
I'm gonna go to the third image.
Oh,
Here we go.
Okay, so
See,
Okay, could everybody who's not speaking mute themselves? We're getting somebody else's talking over the speaker. Thank you. Okay, Kathleen, go ahead.
Okay. So you saw the first two images.
I think this is the
And-
first one we're seeing.
Oh, you are? Okay. 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 So, I guess what I'd like to convey is like this one was taken in Florence and I just sat on a bench and watched this couple very amorous that went on for quite a few minutes and kept clicking my camera. But this was in the tea room in the Chinese tea garden. So I do like nature, but I like no matter where I go to people are really what I enjoy photographing. This was at in Mountain Park. I'm blanking on the name of they have a great Nansen Summit. And this couple, I did ask their permission to take their photo. I try to do that, but I love the way he was trying to make her laugh. It was so sweet. And I tried to bring out the light on his cheeks, the way he was leaning over, looking at her. And you please feel free to ask questions as I go along. I don't always ask permission. I did ask permission from these people. This was at called Powerland. It was this past fall. It's in Brooks, Oregon every year. And my husband loves the engines. I love the people watching. And I think I photographed I think I took a picture of their whole, head to toe, but I thought the dog's face looking up at them was the story. And then their clothes, their body posture. I just liked the story that told more than just showing their whole body. Now this I did take in Tanzania. So I've done a little traveling. It was at an all-girls school. These girls are all very poor. Their families pay as much as they can for their girls to go to school there. And it's run by some sisters who are amazing people. And their school is. And I liked the story just that their hands told. I did take pictures of their faces too, but this is my favorite image from the school. One of our sons lives in New York, and this is when we visited him the last time. And I was telling Bob, I think New York City sighed a sigh of relief when I left, because I was always like standing in a crosswalk trying to take photos. And this I took enough photos at dusk and just happened to catch that light behind his head, which I liked that little touch. This was in Haiti. Gosh. 12 years ago, probably. My husband is an internal medicine doctor, and he went there to do volunteer work, and I went along with him to take photos. And this was our cook. And I told her I was taking a picture of her cat, but I lied, obviously. These are my in-laws who are both deceased now. But they used to tuck money into birthday cards, and that's what they were doing this night. And this time of night, my mother-in-law always had those rollers in her hair. And I just like the little ritual of this moment in their kitchen. And this was in the iris garden here, nearby. Actually, Bob helped me think of this. That my husband, our daughter and I, we toured, the show. But then this was afterwards, and a behind the scenes person, one of the people that made it all come together. And he was happy I did yell to him, "Can I take your picture?" And he was very happy to let me. I took First Communion photos a couple of years ago, and I'm going to be doing it again pretty soon. But I like this little boy's eyes looking up at the priest. He's not old enough to make his first communion, but he looks very excited about doing it someday. And that is his sister in the background, and his mom leaning over above him. And he's holding his hands. That's a signal to the priest that you can't take communion for whatever reason. This is a man who used to live near my daughter in Portland, out of his truck. And he has since moved on. I've looked for him there. He was also really happy to talk to me. And we had quite a nice conversation. And I think it's great when that happens. It doesn't always happen, but it dignifies the person. And I like showing them the back of my camera afterwards so they can see it. And if possible, I email it to people, or this man was a person, he didn't have an email. I don't think I ever got that photo to him. This was also in Tanzania, and he's a Maasai shepherd, which they're an ancient people, but it's interesting because occasionally we would see a Maasai, leading their herd, usually a scraggly herd, and but they would be talking on a cell phone. So technology has arrived for sure. And this was at Mule Days this past summer in I guess it was in Enterprise, Oregon. My husband and I love both Joseph and Enterprise, and went down there actually for Mule Days. And this man he was very happy that I took his photo. I did take one of his face and I mailed it to him because he didn't have email. But I just liked the story that his hands told and his ribbon. And his hands are obviously hardworking hands. And so that's the image that I really liked from the Mule Days event. And this man, you can tell where he is. I forget his name. We had a little conversation, and I think he said to call him Mellow Yellow. Just going out on a Saturday morning. And this was Mount Tabor this past winter. And you can tell it was one of those really, really misty mornings. And I loved the layers that the mist added. And this is also from Tanzania. There in Tanzania, it's 50% Muslim, 50% Christians, and every other election, they have to take turns. There's a Muslim and a Christian as their, I think they call it president, but I'm not positive. So they're actually a very peaceful people. And this little girl, she was actually at a Catholic mass, but looks like she's wearing a kind of a Muslim dress. And generally the Muslims and Christians get along really well, but she looked lonely to me. This is also in Haiti. And I really hope this little boy is doing okay. Haiti's in such a mess. He was at an orphanage, and I loved his t-shirt, and he loved having his photo taken. And they get all of our leftovers, all our, they wear clothes that get shipped over. And so I don't even know if he knew what his shirt said. When we were driving along one day, we saw someone stoking her fire, and she was wearing a Keep Austin Weird t-shirt. So the contradiction was funny at the time. Now it's very tragic. And this is my husband. Our daughter now lives in the Bay Area of California. And my husband takes amazing panoramic shots with his phone. And so I loved capturing him in action. And this gentleman lives kind of outside of Scappoose. And my husband and I went there to hike, and we drove by this house. And I said, okay, on our way home, I've got to take a picture of that house. And on our way home, this gentleman was outside walking around, and I got out and I talked to him. And his name is Red. And so obviously his hair at one time was red. And I think I'm pretty sure something illegal was exchanged when I was talking to Red. Another man pulled up, and Red gave him a bag of something, and the man gave Red some money. And so I like having little takeaway stories within a photo. But Red was raised where, on this land, and he actually was his mother gave birth to him in one of the buildings that was that was on the land that he pointed out to me. And I like the color version, but this is red and black and white. I like this because the Smith & Wesson sign shows more. And this is from the the Highlands dance that's at in non-COVID years, it happens. And I forget which community college, but I thought that these girls and their legs told more than just showing their entire selves. and the patterns of their skirt and the way they are waiting to go on and perform.
Kathleen, you have
Uh,
about 5 minutes.
Okay,
And I
I think
think-
I think I'm getting close to
Okay.
being done.
I think there is a question.
Oh, okay.
Catherine, did you want to ask a question?
Yep. Oh, hey.
Hi.
Hello. Are you
Hi.
related to Lisa?
Yes, she's my sister-in-law.
Oh, how funny. I thought so. We were just curious. I have no power, so I'm at my friend's house. She saved me.
Oh,
And
Oh.
luckily you must have power in Lake Oswego. So
Yeah.
I stayed from Lake Oswego.
well, I'm in Kansas City, so but my husband does have power. He let me know. Yeah.
Okay. But we were curious what camera you're using and if you're editing, what, a lot or not.
Yeah, as far as I use a Canon D6 6D, and I mostly use a wide angle lens, but it can do some nice it can zoom in pretty nicely. And by editing, I work in Lightroom, but then I also, if I have any retouching, I do that in Photoshop, like the photo of the man at the irises, that Mark Fitzgerald. I don't know if Mark's here tonight, but that was before I had Photoshop, and he actually when I took a class from him, he photoshopped out a truck that was behind that man, kind of tucked in the trees. It just would have been distracting. So I do editing, I do some retouching, and I do like lighten eyes, the whites of the eyes, and toast the edges. And if I think something's a little out of focus, if I don't get their eyes quite in focus, I'll try to sharpen a little bit, or as much as I can without it getting noisy. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. My friend was
Sure.
asking. We're just curious. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Beautiful.
I do have a portrait lens that I love, and I might have, but I don't think I took very many in this with my portrait lens. That shot of the boy at his sister's first communion, that was probably with a portrait lens. I love the portrait lens, but it's harder to get images for me crisp. I'm 62, so my vision is not what it used to be. But this lady, I liked the story because she's got her little ashtray off to the side, and she again let me take her picture, but I just thought that was I like the fact that she's smoking, but she's a tidy smoker. And Bob pointed out when we went through this earlier, she looks like she's not happy she's got this habit, like she's wishes she could beat it. The internist in him saw that. This is taken over the edge of the Selwood Bridge. And I love that one girl just happened to look up as I was taking the picture. And we live pretty close to Selwood, to the bridge. And I showed this actually to PPF a few years ago. I don't know if any of you remember. And someone had the smart idea to make it black and white, to take it from color to black and white. And I'm really glad at that suggestion. And I think this is my last, that's my last one. That, by the way, though, this was such a foggy day. These swimmers told me they swim regularly there, but they said that they would probably get in big trouble if they should have been swimming that day. It was so misty.
Well, thank you, Kathleen.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions for Kathleen?
Yes, Kathleen, I have 2 questions. This is
Yeah.
Yana.
Yeah. Hi.
One is like, where was Red, that guy, that you watched
Yeah.
the interaction? Where was that?
So it was in the Scappoose area.
Oh,
and I can't think of the name of the hike we did. The hike was a real dud. I remember that. But red was just the highlight of the day. So it was in that area.
And the second question that I have is when you're, like looking through your viewfinder or however you look, is like, like what provides the electricity to click the shutter? It's like, how do you know when it's time to click the shutter?
I actually, it sounds hokey, but I do a lot of praying. I'm like, God, tell me what you want me to see here, because I think it's all about seeing what we see. And I think for me, that's maybe just releases some subconscious energy. But I do that pretty frequently. Ask for guidance. Show me what you want me to see here. So that might sound really hokey to people, but that's my process.
Hey, whatever works.
Yeah.
So Kathleen, thank you so much for going through those. Those were
Thank you. Yep.
So you have such an eye for finding interesting people. And
Oh, thanks.
can you hit the stop share button at the top?
Yeah.
It's red.
Okay. Yeah, thank you all
There we
for
go.
listening. That was my pleasure.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm going to bed now because it's late here. I'm glad you record.
Okay, thank you, Kathleen.
Thank you.
So our feature speaker tonight is Vaqas Malik, Vaqas Malik. And Joe Whittington is going to introduce the speaker.
Hi, so Vaqas is while a lifestyle photographer who aspires to produce his art around different life forms, including wildlife, nature, and human lifestyle. He's also an adventure and climbing enthusiast, and a good portion of his work includes adventure photography. So Vaqas has an interesting background. He was originally from Pakistan and then grew up in Saudi Arabia. And he lived in Pakistan for 7 years in the 90s, and then he moved to the US. And so he's been in the Portland, Vancouver area since about 2001, and he worked as a software engineer with Intel. And before he's pretty much bailed from that and has dedicated himself to the photography since 2019. So he lives in Vancouver with his wife, 7-year-old daughter, and perhaps a description that apply to me, a senior but youthful cat. So Vaqas is also very, very much involved with the Mazamas Mountaineering Club. He's a climb leader, canyoneering leader. Who would do that? I don't know, but anyway, he's probably one of the club experts on doing that. And he's an instructor, and he's been a very active photographer of Mazama activities, which is where I encountered his work initially. Our paths have crossed a few times, but he reminded me that we were actually in a basic climbing education training course together several years ago. There's been a lot of those, so I didn't quite remember, but anyway. So I am really delighted that you're going to be able to see these images that he's going to be able to share with you.
Great. Thank you, Joe. And Vaqas, are you there? And can you do your screen share?
Yes. Thanks, Joe, and thanks, Bob, for letting me speak here. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you okay, but I don't see any we just see your name. We don't see your video yet.
Okay, let me fix that.
And I would say Vaqas has said that he would like to take questions as we go along. And if you would prefer, you can put the questions in the chat and then we can ask as we go.
Okay, so I'm trying to share, and it's just the wheel is spinning. So okay, it is still spinning.
Does Vaqas, do you have your video on?
Okay, let me quickly fix that. I'll jump back on.
No,
Yeah, where it says it should be, there's probably a little video camera in the left lower corner. It may have a red line through it.
Yeah, I think like right now it's my shares in some wait mode. I may have to kill the process to, oh, okay, so,
Okay, it says you've started screen sharing.
okay, can you guys see now?
No, okay, now we see it. Good.
Okay, so thank you, Joe, for introduction. And there's a one small detail that he left that when I met Joe for the first time, he was my climbing instructor. And so obviously, like, he had been instructing for a while. And at that time, like, I remember I was very excited to be in his class. It was led by Joe and another friend of his, Doug Wilson. So they led this class, and I was a student there. And that's where my climbing career, my technical climbing career, like, started. So thank you, Joe, again for the introduction here, and also way back, like, teaching me climbing. So anyway, so I'll go through some like screens here, and I'll take questions as like as I show my photos, and I'll also in the Lightroom I'll open the histogram and the other settings. So if you guys are interested, you can see those settings as well as I share, and like stop me and ask anything if you need to ask. So yeah, so here's me. And I've been doing stuff in the outdoors for a long time. And in 2001, when I moved to Portland, Vancouver area, I joined Mazamas, and that kind of like gave me, that was a door for me to get into more like a technical climbing using like ropes and all that gear. And in the beginning, I took like a lot of courses. I got involved with a lot of activities, and for a long time, like I would say for like 10 years, I was doing a lot of adventuring, but I just was not like taking photographs. Like sometimes, like not at all. Like so, it was just like not my on radar. And then, like sometime around like 2010, I would say that like I got kind of like more interested in, like to capturing the moments that I was living in the outdoors. I also met my wife, and then we started like adventuring together. So here's my wife here, and our daughter, and she is also like our adventure partner. She goes with us most of the time, and just quick few photos like of my family here. So it's Margaret, my wife, Grace, my daughter, and we live with our cat. And she's been there for a while, but she's old, but still like very youthful. And we enjoy her. And she's an indoor-outdoor cat. So, and here's my daughter again. And this was taken 2 days ago. Living in Vancouver, we got lucky this time that we did not get much ice, but we got like tons of snow. So like got some sledding in the neighborhood. So that's always fun when the mountain just like comes to your doorsteps. Okay, so now moving on to some of the photos that I'm going to share. So my journey to photography like started with taking like landscape photographs, and like it was like very obvious. Like I was visiting all those places, and the very first thing, like as a photographer, I just want to capture the landscape, and that was my initially what I captured most of the time. Like I was just like awe-inspired the places I was going, and wanted to like improve my skills and just capture them and try to make some art out of them and all that. So that was like my, like in the very beginning, my focus, just like landscape and nature and all that kind of stuff. So this is like a very popular like a photograph, like it's from the Antelope Canyon in Arizona. Let me minimize here so you can see like a little bit more. So that the landscape like photography, like it continued for a while. Like I still take landscapes, but then the focus just like start like shifting to the other subjects. So this is over Mount Hood. This like is in Lewis and Clark area. There's some Tulip Festival. So pretty much I indulged myself like into like taking a lot of like iconic photographs from the Pacific Northwest or the places that I was like traveling to. As I was taking those photographs, like my techniques like start like improving. I start like doing some more kind of like started getting more creative, like with the light. Started doing some light painting, long exposures at night. This shot was taken in Enchantments in the core zone, and it was like a very like a dark night, and I was fortunate enough to be there at their fall bloom when all those larches, like they are like very colorful. And at night, I took some photographs of the night skies, and I thought, okay, let me just like try to do some like light painting, and then get some focus on those colorful trees which are around. So so this was taken in like a one shot, and like help with the light painting, I was like able to like elaborate like the colors and illuminate the colors while still like having the night skies in the background. So the landscape, like my passion for the landscape like continued. And then slowly, like I started like noticing, like, start like noticing like other things as well. And mostly was like, okay, I'm here in a very beautiful landscape, but what else is going on around there? Like what, is there some like a human action, or there's some other like, other activities, some like a wildlife. So naturally, like, what I got drawn to the life and about the action that I was doing, the adventure I was in there. And I start including, rather than just taking a simple landscape photograph, I got more into like capturing what's going on here around me. So this was taken in Trout Lake. One of the years back, like we had a good like a snowstorm there, and then they had a school where if there's a good snow, they really do some grooming there for some cross-country skiing. So that was that here. Another shot, like here, like, and I was like backpacking in the Grand Canyon. Like my wife, she was ahead of me, so I just like took a shot of her. So a lot of like my like photographs, like they start like indulging about what's going on there, who are the people there around me, and what's the story. So this photograph I took a little while ago, and it was like on Mount Hood, and I was leading a climb on the south side of the mountain, and we unfortunately, like we had, like we saw an accident. There was one guy who was climbing solo, and he fell below the summit, and we were up there, and I was leading a full group, and we were a big group, so we were able to help like in doing some rescue effort. And it was a long day up on the mountain. Later on, the PMR, like they joined, and then there's some other guys like who were there. So this shot was just taken there, like a very nice day, bluebird day, but like also like we have to do a small rescue. So it was just like some folks like sitting in there, and then the red jackets like over here, these were the PMR guys who showed up, and then they took over the rescue later on.
Because can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
So if you're climbing on Mount Hood and there's an accident like that, is there a protocol that like you have to quit your climb or stop your climb and go give assistance, or does it depend on how safe it is to get to the area where the person fell, or how do they handle that?
Yeah. So like for any like a wilderness like respond thing, like the very first thing, like the protocol is like if you are seeing something, you have to make sure that you yourself are safe. So you don't want to get into trouble yourself. There are like no like the Good Samaritan laws. Like I don't think that there's any like a written law, but generally like Pacific Northwest, where I have climbed a lot, whenever there are like any accidents, like you always hear about like people around helping others. So that is like a very like we're fortunate to be here, where like a lot of people who are pursuing these hobbies, and most of the time like they are like in their best behavior, not just in the regular like but in terms of like when there's some accident, there are a lot of people around to help. So that is just kind of like, I would say it's an unspoken law or rule like of the climbing over here. There are always folks around there. They will like leave their objectives, and then they would try to help. And I heard like many stories around where like people there are always trying to help. And like my team who was there at that time, like we, at that moment, we were descending from the summit when we saw that accident. And we spent some like extra, like a good like 8 hours up near this the Hawk's Back, which is like this like a ridge below the summit. And but like everyone pitched in, and we tried our best to help to be helpful in that scenario.
Okay, thank you.
So so slowly, like as I mentioned, like I start like capturing like photographs where not just a landscape, but it's a lot about like what's going on in that landscape. So like I was drawn towards like a lot of structures, about a lot of barns. This particular barn was like in Metho Valley, like near the town of Mazama. It's a great place to be there in the winter. Some great cross-country skiing, and also some beautiful like a winter like landscape that you can photograph. This photo was at the Mazama Lodge, which is a lodge owned by the Mazama Mountaineering Club at the Garmin camp. And then like as like I was like climbing, I was skiing, I was trying to capture the action here. So this was taken in the Metho Valley, and it was 1 year like I was there, and like I was seeing like these like skiers like going around, and then I was like, okay, like I'm gonna compose my frame and just like wait for a skier and then like take that shot. So so this was like a good keeper one for me. The contrast of the skier in her like a yellow jacket, like gave like a good contrast to the whole like overall composition. So a lot of like landscape photographs, but then some more about like adding more like human activity in there, capturing more the lifestyle. This was I believe was taken at on the Vancouver Island, one of the beach town. I think it was Tofino, and I just like saw this family, and I had my long like a tele lens with me, so I was able to shoot from a distance. And I think I tried to contact them. I tried to follow them so I can ask them, hey, like I can send you your photographs, but I don't think that worked out. But anyways, so like photographs like around like here from Portland, and also like sometimes photographs from the travel. This was like from Kyoto in Japan. and then like also like I would take photographs like of just like do some like street photography, like wherever. This was like I believe like was in San Francisco. Like this was taken from like a village shot like in Pakistan 1 year I was visiting back home there. So that continued, like street photography and other outdoor shots where the people are in there. This was some performance in, I think this was in Dubai. So this guy like who was dancing, but he also had a light suit on. So I just took slowed down my shutter and took like a long exposure and then got some like a light trails there. Like I was at the Burj Khalifa, which is the tallest building, but I found it more interesting photographing people who were photographing the building. So that seems to be like more interesting to me. So I took that one over there. A little while ago, like I was traveling in Japan, and that was like maybe like 7-8 years ago. We were still like, we were at that time where usually you would not see people like reading books or newspapers, like everyone has their cell phones. And I saw this, like while traveling on the train, like I saw this scene where like all these guys were sitting and everyone was reading a book. And I thought it was like very interesting that paperback books and it's still in there. So that was nice. So a lot of these photographs, like, I start taking, and then like as I was taking these photographs, I was improving my skills. And then like somewhere like around like 2019, that was the year before our COVID. I got just, I decided to leave my job at Intel and got more into like, start doing some more like photography and start looking for like portrait and lifestyle shoots. So that became like more like not just my passion, but also like a gig where I can like self-fund like my hobby and also like go beyond that. So I started doing like a lot of like a lifestyle shoots for like individuals and also like for the families. So that was like, where like I stand right now. That is like my my passion, my work. And while I'm doing this, I'm still like working. I love working on different projects. So the photo that I really want to share today are it's a series that I have been shooting for a while, and until recently, I got enough, and then I said I decided to exhibit at like different places. So so these shots are like all like these are adventure shots like that I have taken over the last decade during my adventures, and these are like taken in a way that I wanted to capture a landscape, and but also along with the landscape, I want to include a human factor in there. So they are like not necessarily like a tight photographs, tight frames for the adventurers like hikers, climbers, or mountaineers, but I want to include both. So I want to include that the landscape, and I want to include the climber, the skier, or the adventurer in there, and in a way that like there is a competing focus. Like it's not just the landscape or not just the mountaineer or the person, but both. And I call that a human outdoor connection. And these adventures, like they were like different nature of adventures, and a lot of time, like these photographs, they were like a plan in a sense that I knew like the location. It's some instances that was like I was returning to that spot, and I knew that this is the spot where I want to take a shot. But they were like not posed, but they were still candid shots. But I put a lot of work behind it in framing and like doing some more research. Okay, this is the place where I want to take that photograph, and this is my adventure, and how I can do that, and like so it's kind of like you can say like semi-planned And so a lot of all these adventures, like every adventure, depending on the nature of the adventure, a lot of planning goes in there, like in terms of the gear. The gear that I shot with, like I shoot with Sony. So my cameras are Sony A7R3 and A7R5, which are like a full frame mirrorless cameras. And I most of the time, I would say like 90% of the time, like I'm shooting with prime lenses. So like my only zoom lens, which gets most of the use, is like 100 to 400. Other than that, like for all those like the wide angles and anything which is like under 100 mm, that's a prime lens. So I'm a lot of time I'm shooting with 35 mm. I'm shooting with 55. I'm shooting some tight landscapes with my 85. So that's just like my personal preference. So, and then the 100 to 400, that lens, it's like I like compressing the landscape and the background, but also at the same time, like, you know, wildlife is also one of my like passion. So having that lens with me always helps. Like if whatever I'm doing, if there's some like a wildlife around there, and if I have that lens handy, then I can try taking shot with that one as well.
Because can
Yes.
I ask, like, when you're going on your adventures or you're doing these photographs, how much does your camera gear weigh?
Quite a bit. And so, for example, if like there are some adventure shots, adventures which are like I have taken like both my full frame camera bodies. So it's just like having like, since like I'm not shooting with the zoom lenses, and my preference is the prime. So I'm putting up like two primes. Like, so on one lens, I would put like a wide angle, like maybe 28 mm or even wider. And on the other one, I will throw in like a 55 or sometimes like an 85. So, so I'm carrying like a good set of like a prime lenses with me. I'm carrying two full frame bodies, like some filters in there, and some other accessories. So yeah, so my camera gear like weighs quite a bit, and that also is kind of like the progression of my adventures have been like lately, like the first 10 years of my climbing was more like a more hardcore climbing. So as photography got into my life, so I'm paying more attention to photography. This means want to carry more gear, and that also means taking away some of my more I would say more advanced like a climbing. So I try to keep the balance in there, but like above my camera gear is like above average, whoever is shooting around me. That's what I find. So this shot was an easy shot. This was taken from a campsite. So night shot, and this one, there's a town, Ucluelet. It's south of Tofino on the British, on the Vancouver Island in British Columbia. So like a night shot, I got the galaxy and everything, but what I really loved getting in this shot was like these folks who were having a bonfire. There were a lot of processing goes behind this photograph, and mainly that like the way like that I have to expose these guys and make sure they are like not overblown. So I think this was like taken two frames, one frame where I focused on the galaxy and got exposed to that one, and other one where I got a good exposure, controlled the highlights for the fire they were making, and I think I combined those two shots together to make the view that I was looking at. This was in the North Cascades National Park in Washington State. A lot of climbing that I've done over there. So you will see like a lot of shots like from that. What I liked about this one, that there is this peak on the left side is the Boston Peak. And then on the right side, there are like other peaks, but there, as you can see, there's a color variation of the rock. So found it quite interesting from the geological perspective. So that was like one reason I love this shot about it. I love the landscape, but then also how the rock colors like look different and how it transit from more like brown to more like a granite gray as it goes. It goes right. And then my climbing partner, like he was coming behind me. So like I wanted to have him in there. This shot was taken in British Columbia. There's a provisional park, Bugaboos, which is very popular with mountaineers. So we were climbing in the team of four. So at this moment that I was sitting, and then one of my climbing partner, he was like leading this pitch back on this very exposed ridge, and he was belayed by my other team member, and who was standing right behind me, and I was like at that moment, since I was not on any belay duty or climbing itself, so like I had a chance to capture this shot. So there was a little bit of like a wind gust, like so you can see like the rope kind of like moving around quite a bit, and then quite a bit of exposure in this shot. So that's like from Bugaboos. This shot was taken in Mazama in the Metro Valley, and it was taken a few years back, and that was one of the year that the summer was like pretty harsh, and they had a lot of forest fires, and their fall colors, they had a very like a unusual pattern. So on the early snow, there was still quite a bit fall colors left, and got this like a shot where there's a winterscape, but at the same time there's still like some fall colors like on the trees, and in between like I got a backcountry skier, and you can see her like in the middle like left. So that made this shot special for me. This is Forbidden Peak in the North Cascades National Park. It's a very popular route, the West Ridge of Forbidden Peak. Like people like they count it as one of the 50 classic routes in North America. So descending that ridge, I haven't been on this climb, having climbed this route like different times. So every time I've taken this shot, I got a different look and feel. And this one, there was a kind of like semi like a whiteout. So you can see the clouds moving in and out. So that I was able to capture like when there was a little like a break from the clouds, and made this one of my favorite photographs like from that climb. This was like hiking in there's a state park in Nevada, like an hour and a half north of Vegas. It's called Valley of Fire, and it's a very like a scenic state park with a lot of opportunities for landscape photography. So this is one of the hike, which is called the Fire Wave, and so it was like nice to have a hiker in there to like understand like some like scale of these sandstone patterns. Moving back to Oregon, this one is in Smith Rock State Park. And one proper like a route on Smith Rock High Ridge. And I arranged this climb like specifically to take this shot. So I had two friends who were generous enough to come along and make this shot happen for me. And we were in the climbing in the party of three, and this is one of the sections where the traverse like comes towards the end of the pitch. So you can see my climbing partner, she is traversing here. And while she's traversing, on the view, you can see the Crooked River on the background and a lot of like other portion of the Smith Rock, but also if you can follow the cursor over here, this is like the very famous, like the monkey face, the Smith Rock, which is like one like this monolithic tower, very popular among the climbers. So this is a classic scene, and I wanted to get this shot, and definitely like I want to get this shot with a climber in there to understand the scale and also understand the depth here. A shot here from canyoneering. Lot canyoneering has been like one of my like a favorite thing in Utah, and this is one of the slot canyons there. These canyons are just like amazing. Like when you are traveling there, you don't see anything in the landscape. It's just like a barren desert. But down there, this is a whole another world of these slot canyons. And like, you know, if someone is able to get down there with the ropes and stuff, it's just like amazing how what light plays in those canyons is just like very remarkable and very unique, depending on the angle of the snow, angle of the sun, and also the formation of the slots. So this was a canyon called Hogs Canyon, and there was one of the long rappels, and I framed this one, making sure that I'm not getting the sky in there, just focusing on the colors and the shades of the sandstone. Switching back to the Smith Rock, this route is also a popular route, and it has a bit of like an overhang. And this was taken by me when I was on the ground. So I was not actually climbing, but just on the ground, was able to take this shot of a single pitch. And this section where there's a bit of overhang, so the climber have to get this move where have to kick his legs in the air and just pull himself up. And so I knew about this route, and I knew about this move. So just waiting for the right time, and took a bunch of shots, and this frame turned out to be the better ones.
So Vaqas, how high off the ground is he?
He was, I would say, like maybe like 50, 60 feet. So that was like the first pitch on that climb. So so not very high, but like high enough like for that. I think like for people like who do the lead climbing, he had like put in like some like a 10 like pieces in there, and especially you can see like here there was like quick draws like holding at the rope. He's lead climbing that route, and then just move where it just like it's a big overhang, so it's a big power move they have to pull off to get over the top.
Well, Vaqas, can I ask,
Yes.
like how sensitive are you about, putting like the anchors? Like some people like don't like to put permanent anchors in, others, like where's your stance on that?
So yeah, that's a very very interesting subject. So the Smith Rock State Park has a lot of these bolts, like they're like it has no shortage of bolted routes, and these are like fixed anchors where these metal pieces they are drilled into the rock. But then if you kind of like go to a place like, let's say like Yosemite or there's a very popular rock climbing park in California, Joshua Tree National Park. So over there, like the people there are very sensitive about that. And you would not find like many pieces. So in my personal stance is that it's kind of like it's a mixed bag. I don't think it's like a very simple like answer that the anchors, they are used for different purposes. Like the one is like for leading the route, but also there are anchors where for, let's say you are in the alpine area and on the descent route, there are these like rappel stations where climbers, they rappel. So the choice is whether you put bolts in there or you have a bunch of slings, which over the time can become like, like very heavy. And then they can keep leaving slings behind and those slings getting old and just like adding more there. So it's not that bad to rather having climbers to leave their slings behind if they're just like 2 bolts there. So visually they would not be that much. So I think it's like I'm not that much against anchors. But at the same time, like if you put more anchors, this means like, you are also having more human impact. There are more people coming climbing. So I think it depends on my answer would be depending on like where you want to put them and how you want to put them.
Yeah, don't you also have the issue of like how long's that anchor been there? How sturdy is that anchor?
Yeah, so no one takes wherever these anchors are, those are like all based from the volunteers. So there's no organization who take responsibility for those anchors. So eventually it's the responsibility of the climber to whenever he or she is using an anchor, there's the liabilities on them that you have to examine the anchor and see the health of that anchor. Because like it's not like, hey, it's someone's responsibility, like state park or national park people. Like, no, the rangers are not doing this. This is like all based on the volunteer organizations who are managing those anchors. And depending on what climbing area it is, like for example, like Smith Rock, there are a couple of organizations who are like very dedicated in managing those anchors and bolts. And often, like if you go there, you will see them like some climbing parties who are managing those boards and who are maintaining them. They are taking out the old one, putting on the new one then. So Smith Rock, for example, like has a very, like the anchors over there, they are routinely, like they are maintained by these volunteer organizations and they are pretty safe. And Smith Rock also like gets a lot of climbing traffic. So I don't remember or I'm not aware of any accident there where the anchor failed. But yeah, like as a climber, as a mountaineer, whenever I'm using an anchor, my first instinct is to check the bolt and check the anchor, what's the health of that anchor before putting my life on it. Moving back to the slot canyon, this is a very popular slot canyon. It's called the Blue John Canyon. And if you like remember a little while ago, that canyon got like really popular, that one of the canyoneer, like he got stuck there and his arm got pinned by this big boulder. And ultimately he has to free himself by chopping his arm off. So that canyon, the Blue John Canyon, it's a fairly big canyon. This particular section of that canyon is not the place where that incident happened, but it was like in that area. And I like over here in capturing this canyon, but also like capturing this like a big chalk stone, which is like wedged between the 2 walls of the canyon there. And then different, like as the light's coming up there, it's bringing different shades of the sandstone. So this is like one of my favorite canyoneering shot. This is Enchantment in Washington, Alpine Lake area, when the larches are in their full bloom. Every fall, there's a couple of week period where these larches, they are like very vibrant. So this is in the Enchantment. This is a very popular peak, the Prospect Peak, this big, like a jagged area that you see. On the left side is a Prospect Peak over here. And then on the trip I was backpacking, there was no technical climbing, so just hiking and carrying over backpacks. So 2 of my team members, you could see them like walking down on that hill. This is Bugaboos in Canada. And that's like one place where like it's really hard to take like a bad photo there. It's like the park is just phenomenal. Like there are these like spires everywhere, and it's very easy to find these great compositions where you can capture some climbing action and also capture like these spires. On the same climb, this shot was like a more like a close-up, like a climber shot at one of those rappel station. So here, like I was climbing with my climbing partner, so it was just like 2 of us, and I was able to take this shot. North Cascades, and this is back to Washington State. Another of like a very popular, this is a peak called El Dorado Peak, which has this like a knife edge final approach to the summit. So here you can see the summit on the back, and on each side there's a big exposure. I've climbed this route like many times, and for this shot I knew very well that like how it's gonna play out. And one of my team member, as she was like coming back from the summit, she was the last one to come and clean up the route, take up all the anchors out. I was able to take this shot. I took it in color, but I like love this in black and white. Switching back to the slot canyoneering, another slot canyon in Utah. This is called the Baptist Draw. And coming back to the Pacific Northwest, this shot that I took this last summer, this was one of my like a paid gig that I got a shot, photograph a wedding on the summit of Mount Adams. So this couple, like, who wanted to be like have their special day on the mountain, their first choice was Mount Baker, but unfortunately, like that got weathered out. So their second choice was Mount Adams, which was like a less technical, but still like, so it was like 2-day climb, and I had to carry like quite a bit gear for that one. In addition to my 2 full frame camera bodies and some 4 lenses. I had there was a tripod, and then there was some since I was shooting the full wedding, I was carrying a reflector to get some portrait shots and a lot of other small accessories as well. So this was just like after their ceremony, as the couple was like heading to the summit, to the actual summit there. They were also ski mountaineers, so on the same outing, captured like a lot of like their action shots in their bride and groom ski gear.
Where's the minister?
She was not in this photo, but she was at this time. I think she was like behind me. But I have like some photos from that. Let me see if I can quickly look into my catalog.
That's okay. I've seen ministers before.
Yeah. But it was like we timed ourselves. Like when we arrived at the summit, we took an early start. So it's a very popular route. Climbing Adams on a good weekend, you will see like a lot of people on the summit. So we tried to beat the crowd. So when we were up there and having our ceremony, it was pretty vacant. So we had pretty much like, one side of the summit to ourselves. So I was able to take a lot of like a ceremony shots without having any extras in there. So that worked out well. This is like another shot of Forbidden Peak, West Ridge. So I'm just gonna quickly switch back to the older shot that another shot that I showed you guys. So this is same route, but here you can see the clouds are moving in and out. So there's like a very there's a misty nature here, but here, like you can see that. Oops, actually, let me go back to it is showing the composition lines here. I'm going to go back to the library module. So, okay. So same route, but it was a clear day. So you can see like more what's happening in the background. There's some other peaks. Other peaks of the North Cascades National Park. This peak over here, like that's the El Dorado peak. And the shot, this one was on that peak that you can see like over here. Switching gears here, some cross-country shots. This is like a Meso Valley, Mazama. I've taken this shot like several times, and this one was my favorite because like on that particular day, like it was snowing, it was and the elements, they were just like great. And I have taken this shot when it was like a bluebird sky, and but it just like was not as fascinating as this shot when the snow was dumping. So moving back to the North Cascade National Park, this is Mount Shuckson, and on the background you see Mount Baker. This is a route called Fisher's Chimney, and above the Fisher's Chimney, this is like a Winnie slide. Here I can see like my team coming in, and they are like roped. And so on this spot, looking back, again, like I knew about this framing, and I was just waiting for the right moment so I can capture this one. Same climb, and at the campsite, this is like a Curtis Glacier, and a very easy opportunity where, like for me, I can compress the landscape and then fill the frame with the glacier in the background, and get this like a nice shot of the folks like camping here. It was taken late in the season. I believe like it was like late August, and by that time the glacier was like a pretty wide open, and the crevasses like are pretty like in they're like a full like a vigor. Another shot from the same climb as we were navigating the glacier on the rope team. So here you can see the lead climber going up on the rope, and I was like right behind him, and I was able to take this shot. It's leading. This shot here was taken in the north side of Mount Hood. It's like a burnt forest, and in the winter, like it's it has its own magic. So a backcountry skiing outing, and like luckily like the skier ahead of me like was wearing some really like colorful like a backpack and a nice colorful shoes. So and so this shot is like if you're climbing or mountaineering in the North Cascades, stream crossing is like a regular fixture. Often you have to cross like streams, and so this is like one of the stream crossing on one of my climbing outing, and I had crossed a stream, so I was safe, and I was stable, and there like I was able to take this like a fast shutter shot of my partner like coming right behind me. This shot was taken in Bugaboos Provisional Park in Canada, and a base camp with a magnificent view of the glacier and one of the peaks there. It's a big base camp. A lot of people, they camp here. So you can see like how many, like there are quite a few like tents in here.
So Vaqas, a lot of these are multi-day climbs, huh?
Yes, these were multi-day climbs. Yes.
We have about 10 minutes.
So I'm gonna rush through some of these photographs here, and pick up something here. So this is like one of those. This is like a rock climbing shot where, right below the rock, like when your like person rappelling behind you, it's kind of like a fun to frame in the way that you can have the sky down and get this like composition. This shot I took on Mount Stewart, which is in the Alpine Lakes in Washington State. And this is the West Ridge of Mount Stewart. For the climbers, this shot can be very interesting because it shows the whole route of the West Ridge. So starting from, if you can follow the cursor, the route goes all through over these towers, and it navigates through these crags and come down and up to the summit. So it's a good like shot, like documenting the whole route, where you can understand the whole like a West Ridge and the nature of climbing there. This shot was taken on Mount Rainier, the base camp, Emmons Glacier. It's the south side of the mountain. And it's hard to understand the scale here. So this is taken at the base camp, and this like a big, the wall that you're seeing, that's like a 5,000 feet. So the scale is hard to understand here, but this is like a 5,000 feet of climb up to the summit from there. And you can see like a boot track. This is like a very popular route. So there's like a big, like a highway of boot tracks, which snakes like around the crevasses and navigates around them and goes all the way to the summit. This was taken in the Smith Rock State Park on one of a very popular climb, Monkey Face, which is a tower that you climb up. And as you like look down, like you can see on this frame, like straight looking down there, looking the Crooked River, which is like bending down over here, and the trees, juniper trees here. And also like my team member who was like using the Jumaring technique to climb up. So these are like the series, the mountaineering shots. And as I mentioned earlier, like the other thing I also like to photograph is the wildlife. So I rarely go on the dedicated like a wildlife expeditions or wildlife like photography, but these are just like mostly they are taken during the hiking, backpacking, or just like other like activities. This was taken on Oregon coast. This was a coyote shot that I took. This was taken in Richfield Wildlife Refuge in Vancouver. So that's like another of my passion. Like if like my website is like waqasmalik.com, and there's like a lot of my portfolio shots, a lot of my other library shots like are out there. So you guys can like go there and check those out. I think we should be getting close, right, Bob?
Yeah, so does anyone have, are there any questions?
Yeah, I have another question, Vaqas, is like, when you showed that shot, you were up on a little kind of a saddle, and there was, like some clouds coming in, like for a whiteout. And I mean, I get nervous in those kind of situations because I've been in total whiteouts, And then what do you do?
Yeah, it's like, it's like it is part of the game. This whiteout was not like stormy. It was like mostly like a moving in and out. Like obviously, like before like any climbing expedition or any climbing outing, like we check like the forecast and make the best decision based on that. But off and on, like you get in those situations where you have like these whiteouts, and fortunately, like like on this one, this whiteout was the cloud was moving in and out, and it was like not very threatening. And like on these technical routes, if there's a whiteout, sometimes you just have to wait and make sure that you have enough visibility before you can continue rappelling or climbing or whatever you're doing. So that's like, sometimes like that's the best course of action.
Like, are you prepared for overnight?
On this particular climb, yes. So our base camp was like a way down there, quite below. But when we were on the summit day, we had some emergency BV gear. So we had some gear in case like if we got stuck on the ridge, if we are late or it get dark or something, then we had some gear with us where we could like spend the night without being totally miserable. So, and that emergency gear is like some like sleeping bags, like depending on size of the team, like a couple of stoves. So like, we can like, cook something warm for us. So that's like always like, again, like every route is different, every route requires different planning. And, but they're often these routes, like if it is a long summit day, then I always like plan some gear in case of some emergency gear, in case I have to spend an unplanned night up there.
So Vaqas, I just want everyone to understand how freaking difficult it is to make sure that you're secure, that you're en route, that your party is secure, especially your leading, and to take photographs, because they don't necessarily go together. So all of these are just amazing shots, and with a whole bunch of technical skill and planning behind them. So thanks a lot for sharing with these. These are pretty cool.
Thank you for letting me share these, and then I appreciate your comments.
May I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
First of all, I just want to second how beautiful the photographs are. And I love the way that you have combined, the human story in your landscape photographs. I did want to ask you a question about one of the photographs you showed very early on. It was of the night sky, and you said light painting of, I think, yes, no, even before that, I think of larch trees on either side. Yes, that one. And I was wondering, was that multiple shots that you combined, or what?
No, this one was a single shot. And let me quickly get to the developer mode here, and I can get some. So yeah, this one is a 10-second shot. And f2.5, it was a wide angle lens, 20 mm lens. And yeah, so it was single shot, but definitely I have to take this shot like many times just to perfect my light painting here. Yeah, like, it's like a good flashlight, and over the 10 seconds, I had enough time to paint the both sides.
Thank you. It's quite beautiful.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Actually, I do have another question about this one. How far away were the trees from you?
So the way this particular lake was that I was at the very edge of the bank of the lake. So without getting myself into the water, So this is like a 20 mm shot. So like my guess is like this was like not a very big lake. So like it could be like maybe like 300 feet, something like that.
Thank you.
Uh,
Was it hard not to get the light in the water?
Yes, like one of the flashlight that I carry with me, and these are like more like a backpacking gear. It has a you can change the throw of the light, so you can go from narrow to zoom to the wide angle. So so on this one, I definitely have to use a more like a narrow light to like have not like much spillover around, especially out in the water.
Thanks again.
Anyone else have a question for Vaqas?
I just want to reiterate what Joe said about like the difficulty of climbing and taking photographs, because it's like you're up there. So thank you very much for sharing those amazing images.
You're welcome. And one of the things which helped me in planning these photographs, that I lead clients with Mazama. So so I kind of like to take advantage of that position where like if I'm the leading an outing, so like I understand where I want to take my shots and how like like how to manage the timetable and all that. So that also helps like when I'm the boss here and I can like stop and take photographs and make my own plan. So that also helps.
Oh, I would just like to say that I love your early ones like this one, but I really am happy that you decided to include the human element. I like those last ones, that last series so much.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Well, thank you, Vaqas, for going through all of those. Those were beautiful and amazing photos and some amazing outing adventures. And thank you for sharing those with us. That was fabulous.
You're welcome.
Well, if there are no other questions, we'll say goodnight to everybody, and everybody be safe in the ice storm tomorrow, and we'll see everybody again next month.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks.